The wind carried the scent of giants before it carried rain, a low, earthy musk that made the village dogs whine. Alara clutched her worn, grinding stone, the rhythm of her task a frantic beat against the rising dread. The flour, coarse and hearty, wasn't just for bread, it was their shield. "Faster go!" Old Master Theron croaked, his voice raspy from a lifetime of shouting over the mill's roar. He gestured to the great wheel, its wooden teeth gnashing against the stone. "The brute isn't slowing for your daydreaming." The brute was Argus, a creature of vast muscle and placid temperament, whose chain form pulled the mill's immense capstans. Hide was like ancient leather, scarred and thick, and his one good eye, the other clouded with white, focused only on the path before him. He wasn't truly a beast of burden in the common sense, but a singular, magically bound entity whose colossal strength turned the millstones. Alara wiped sweat from her brow, her muscles aching. The mill was a marvel of simple, colossal engineering. Argus, walking an endless circle, rotated the central capstan. This capstan was geared to a massive vertical shaft that rose through the mill's floors. On the upper level, this shaft connected to the runner stone, the top, movable millstone. Beneath it lay the bedstone, stationary and deeply grooved. The wheat, poured from a hopper above, fed into the eye of the runner stone, drawn by its rotation into the gap between the two stones. The deep grooves, called furrows, ground the grain, pushing the resulting flour out to the edges where it collected in shoots. "Keep the hopper full," Alara Theron urged, pointing to the spout from which the finished flour cascaded into a waiting sack. It was a fine, pale stream, the very essence of their protection. The giants, slow-witted but persistent, were repelled by the finest flour. Not just any flour, but the specific, almost ethereal dust produced by the village's enchanted millstones. The magic, Theron had explained countless times, wasn't in the stones themselves, but in the sustained, rhythmic grinding of vast quantities of grain by a magically bound beast. It created a specific resonance, a vibration in the very particles of flour that giants found unbearable. They would approach, sniffing the air, their great nostrils flaring, only to stumble back with guttural roars of disgust once they caught the scent of the flour dust carried on the wind. Argus, oblivious to the existential threat, simply kept walking, his heavy breathing a constant bass note beneath the grinding. The chains around him hummed with residual magic, binding him to his purpose. Alara wondered if he ever tired, if he ever dreamed of plains beyond his endless circle. But he was their bulwark, a living engine against their ancient enemies. As the sun dipped below the jagged peaks, painting the sky in fiery hues, the distant thud of giant footsteps grew louder. The ground vibrated faintly. Alara shoveled more wheat into the hopper, her arms burning. The chute pulsed with flour, thick and steady. Theron, meanwhile, pulled a lever, diverting some of the fresh flour into a massive, bellow-like contraption near the mill's highest window. "Now!" he yelled. With a grunt, he pumped the bellows. A fine cloud of enchanted flour puffed out into the evening air, carried by the rising wind. Moments later, a bellow of rage echoed from the valley, followed by a series of confused roars and the sounds of heavy bodies crashing through trees. The giants were turning away. Alara slumped against the millstone, flour dusting her hair and clothes like snow. The immediate danger had passed, but the grinding never truly ended. As long as the giants roamed, Argus would walk his circle, and the villagers would feed the mill, turning grain into a magical shield, one precious sack of flour at a time. The brute, the stones, and the tireless hands of the villagers formed a delicate, vital ecosystem, all bound by the ancient fear of giant footsteps.